and welcome back to Corey Haim. Now, this is the one after Never Too Late, and this is essentially the curveball of the series. Mainly because I'm trying to kill some time before going to work. But if you look in the other room, there's two films that are technically Corey Haim. One's technically Corey Haim, the other one is sort of right. You're reaching. And we're going to talk about them. First up, River's Edge. Now, this is one of Dan's favourite films over in America, and it just not recently got released in England. Crispin Glover, Keanu Reeves, and Dennis Hopper. Now, Corey Haim filmed scenes in this, but was removed from the movie. The director on the audio commentary mentions the actor, never says Corey Haim's name, and I think it had something to do with pneumonia. If I'm right. It is mentioned, and this is from quite a Signature One Entertainment. To be honest with you, looking at this right now, it's hard to... Brotherhood of Justice is another Keanu Reeves movie at the time, and I'm trying to get them confused about which way it's going to go. But yeah, it's in the Corey Haim collection because obviously a scene as well, again with groups like Walking Through the Raindrops and the Corey Haim fan page on Facebook. You see echoes of this guy's life, almost like he's not even dead. And obviously one of the scenes, there has been production scenes leaked of him from that. The other one there as well is Lost Boys The First. Now, you think, huh? And I always hate that cover. I even asked Jameson Newlander, who says, well, from what he understood, he was going to be on the artwork because, you know, he's not there. The Frog Brothers are back for blood. Put the fucking Frog Brothers on the front cover. Anyway, off that rant. Corey Haim appears in that in archive footage, so he technically is in that, but it's nothing that you haven't seen before. It's not that they've done a Phantasm where they've found unused footage, or done a Rocky IV where they've, like, you know, because there will be footage like that. Maybe he's in the archive on film. If it was digital, it would be a different story. And again, everyone was like, well, he was dead. He wasn't dead. When Lost Boys The First was made, he was not dead. Was he not dead? I don't think he died yet. I think they started anyway. But it is around that time. Anyway. The big setup at the end of the first. Lost Boys. The Quest. The Tribe. The Tribe! Well done, Stephen. Finish your coffee before you film something. You look at that and you go, right, okay, it's setting it up. And to think that that is the last appearance of the two Coreys and the two Corey's TV show would be cancelled after season 2. It kind of goes like, well, where would that have gone? And again, I kind of look at the first as sort of a TV pilot because by the end of it, they're setting up werewolves. And then Jameson Newlander is in it, and it's kind of tries to borrow too much from Blade and of the Twilight. It doesn't really seem to have its own direction on this, and it really looks like they've cashed in. The second Lost Boys is technically just a clone remake. And a retelling would be a better way to say it. It tries to pull in the songs, it gets the nostalgia. G-Tom Mac comes back and does Cry Little Sister. And then I remember watching it, and you know, Jameson United doesn't turn up in the cut I originally see, and then Haim turns up at the end, and it's kind of like he becomes a vampire, and you think it's not like Big Wolf on Campus. So there's another thing I can talk about. Big Wolf on Campus, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman both appear in that series, crossing over to each other. And again, check out Sloan's TV because he goes into this, and it's kind of like what if they could do. So that's what this episode is. I mean, with the Lost Boys affair, it would have been great for him to come back as the bad guy. It would have been a nice round in the trilogy, but again, he would unfortunately pass away. I think he passed away before the film was released. I don't think it was filmed. But I'm just looking right now in this room, and I'm going to kill about 5 minutes just looking around and going, what if, right? Now, what if Corey Haim went on a better path here? And I'm not going to move. That's the thing, right? I'm going to stay completely stuck in the mud. Shut the door a bit, right? First off, Godzilla. Matthew Broderick. Could Corey Haim have played him? Probably. Yeah, that's not another thing. I mean, Matthew Broderick had been out of the limelight for a while, but could Corey Haim been in Godzilla 95? Yeah, he played his cards right. I mean, he did completely balls the interview up for Batman and Robin. Sorry, Batman Forever. He was going to play Robin. It was Joel Schumacher, so you know that could have been the biggest comeback. And he went boom, and he gooned it. Let's put it there. He gooned it. Now, right, okay. So maybes Godzilla. So I can't pick anything that he was unfortunately dead after. Right, I can't move, remember. Can't move. At a long push, would he have been better off in Tremors instead of Jamie Kennedy? Yeah. What happened to Jamie Kennedy? And why wasn't Jamie Kennedy in the last Tremors? That's a different rant. Wow, this is harder than I thought. Looks a Tombstone, he would have been too young. He never voiced animation. That's the one. For someone who had a very unique, quirky voice, he never really, I don't think he ever did one animation. Except for the computer game Double Switch. So that's interesting. He wouldn't have been Expendables. Perfect Getaway, I would have cast him in that. Like, Perfect Getaway is an amazing film and Timothy Olyphant absolutely owns that movie. But I think Steve Zahn, that I would have put Corey Haim in there instead of Steve Zahn. Definitely. That's a good shout, that one. Can't move. Looking around. Harder than it looks. It's just too much looking at us. It's not like I should have really came in here and went, oh, you would have been in that. Can't. Like, at least I can turn in a circle. They're all VHSs. I mean, Die Hard 4.0, Live Free or Die Hard, everyone's just like, fuck off. But again, I'm just thinking Timothy Olyphant there. You know what I mean? Because Timothy Olyphant, me personally, would have took a lot of Haim's roles. You know, Go. Would you put Corey Haim in Go? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if Corey Haim stayed on the correct path. You know, watched his weight. I'm not saying he cast him off his weight, but again, keep that reputation of being solid. But Timothy Olyphant is the fucking bomb. Like, he's fucking mint. But you can kind of see, like, with the fucking hair and the, you know, delivery and stuff he done. I mean, imagine if Tarantino got a hold of him. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Tarantino. Would he have popped up in one of them films? Maybe, yeah. Possibly. I should have read his IMDb. Probably would have said what he had auditioned for and stuff like that. But again, look at Guy Ritchie and Josh Hartnett. Josh Hartnett's popped up in 2 Guy Ritchie films now. Josh Hartnett, again, would have came along and took... You know, Josh Hartnett was kind of like another generation of him. You know, hit big with Halloween and then came into The Faculty. Then all of a sudden he was in everything. But then all of a sudden went, fucking, I want nothing to do with it. 30 Days a Night. Would you have cast him in that? Probably. Again, maybe it's more of a supporting role. I'm not saying he needs to be the main star. But again, where you could have went with this, I would have had him in Chef. Chef's an amazing movie. Can't move. Right, I'm only going to kill a few more minutes. Fifth Element? Oh, no, not Fifth Element. Corey Haim replacing Ben Stiller in Our House, also known as Duplex. I would go for that because it's putting him with Drew Barrymore. I mean, you could have argued if Feldman stayed on the correct path, you could have done that. So that's not a bad shout. High Fidelity. I don't know where I would put him in that because I think that film is really well cast as well. Corey Haim and Corey Feldman in Biodome. If they had... To be honest with you, there you go. There's a film because Biodome's got a cult following anyway, but you can maybe look at them two being cast in that. If they had kind of went... you know, the right direction after Blown Away, I would say. Definitely. No. Again, can't move. Not the films I'm fucking looking at here. Whatever that is. Superhero movies. I can't very see many. Could have had him in The Punisher. As the guy Ben Foster plays. There's a fucking load of Christian Slater films. Christian Slater though. Again, if you look at all the films Christian Slater took, you know, Christian Slater's a fucking comedian. He's like, you know what I mean? He's had a bad boy reputation, you know, but like, that guy has just worked solid. If he's not working in movies, he's doing plays. That's how I ended up meeting him. You know what I mean? He's fully, like, booked, solid. TV shows that you've never seen. Like, he's had about 3 or 4 TV shows, Christian Slater. And what to say, like, Corey Haim, I'm always going to do that. You know, because, like, again, Rumi's never been available. PS, Sci-Fi, I mean, he could have been in X-Files, of course he could have. He could have ended up being in had a resurgence and been in one of the NSIs or the NCICs or some kind of like witch doctor fucking TV series that ends up having 14 episodes, 14 series, that's where we're going there. Yeah, that could have happened. Yeah, so yeah, that's another one. Could have popped up in The Prince instead of John Cusack, because that's a Jason Patrick movie. Just thinking of random, like easy cast, tick. The Thing remake, that would have been mint. Because again, the Thing remake, it's like, yeah, I would have cast him in the Thing remake as Joel Egerton Thing, Bob, his name, that guy, the Aussie. Yeah, put him in the Thing remake. VHSs. Could have been the bad guy in Ransom. That would have been a good comeback in the 95-ish era. Just taking a step back and playing the bad guy. I mean, imagine Corey Haim and Corey Feldman in Face Off. No. Just no. Speed. I mean, come on, right? You're laughing at us, right? Laugh all you want. Laugh away, right? Corey Haim and Speed. Keanu Reeves, again, broke in after him. He's also another Canadian. Do you know what I mean? He's trying to correct his wrongs. Not wrongs, but like trying to get away from Bill and Ted, and then hits with Speed. So, again, if Haim had been in there, he could have been in Speed. I mean, Jason Patrick's in Speed too. So someone, the producer, was like, I love the Lost Boys. You know what I mean? That's good. Again, Blade, Deacon Frost, Stephen Dorff. I mean, don't get us wrong, Stephen Dorff absolutely fucking owns Deacon Frost. But you can't help the channel of the Lost Boys. And again, Feldman did it with Bordello of Blood. Go vampire hunter to being a vampire. Again. Yeah. See, now this is quite a fun game now. I've got some rhythm going. He probably would have popped up, I think, personally, in a lot of Adam Sandler films as well. I think when Adam Sandler reined in his thing, because, I mean, it kind of, that Hollywood rub. But again, it's that kind of, Adam Sandler went and did his own kind of thing, and I talked about it recently, why, with Dickie Roberts, when, Brendan Fraser hasn't really been associated with Adam Sandler. But then you look at Pauly Shore as well. Pauly Shore is kind of in that 90s Corey Haim, when they've just ended up in a, you know what I mean? It's like the unspoken, like, bad pack of the 90s of actors. 80s? It's a dog. Right, a couple of more minutes here. I think I've had some good shouts here. Dark City, I would have cast him in Dark City, because Rufus Sewell, I mean, I love Dark City, but I just think Russell Sewell is just sort of fish out of water in it. I think it's one of the most... Again, Kiefer Sutherland's in it as well. It's a curveball movie anyway, but I'm just chucking that one out there. I'm still standing on the same spot. I mean, I'm not going to lie, this is truth, right? Hands are out, right? This is serious. When we were casting the tournament, well, I wasn't casting the tournament. When we were casting the tournament, and like, we tried with Van Damme, we tried all the people, I remember sending, I don't know if I was sending or I was standing next to me cousin Keith and going, what about Corey Haim or Corey Feldman? And I remember definitely getting pictures and showing, so I can remember that vividly. So again, that would have been amazing. Again, he was alive at that point, but that didn't happen either. So again, was trying. I mean, if I was going to do something now and I had a bit of budget, hey, I'd be straight after Corey Feldman to be in something, because that would be cool. I mean, he's on Lonely Tree anyway, but yeah. Hey, you never know. Right, 1 minute left. 1 minute. You got to stop, like Michael Rappaport. There's another actor I think that got a lot of roles off him. I think Metro with Eddie Murphy, True Romance. You know what I mean? If you look at True Romance and you go, right, what if they cast Corey Haim as Michael Rappaport's character in that? And I'm just saying there, Copland as well, when he plays that young'un. But I think Haim needed to step it up and show he's a bit older. You know what I mean? I think he got locked into the teenage films too much. But when films were like getting made, he's off doing Fever Lake. Like, Wolf, there's a good one. I mean, James Spade is a fucking creep. Let's just put that out there. But I mean, he could have been in Wolf, The upcoming guy wants to go against Jack Nicholson. Personally think James Spader nails it. But Christian Slater would have been a good one, because that's whole, like, yeah, a lot of people don't really say it, and it's like, oh, but like, Christian Slater totally, like, channels Jack Nicholson, especially in True Romance. Um, right, running out of time. Running out of time. One more film. I mean, Hackers. Let's say it there. Hackers. Johnny Lee Miller, for the time, was the perfect choice. I mean, who knew that Angelina Jolie was going to be such a mega star? But we'll leave it here, right? I think Johnny Lee Miller channels Double O Kid, Double Switch Haim in this with the blonde hair, because I'm not going to lie, when you see the original poster of all them looking up in the fisheye with Matthew Little like that, it kind of looked like at a glance it was Haim, and it was around that era. But you think, put Haim in it as, is it Fisher Stevenson or Stephen Fisherson? You know, the guy who's white who plays Johnny Five's alive in Short Circuit. Fisher Stevenson. I had no idea, right, that he was not Indian. I thought he was an Indian. I was like, why have I not seen him in anything since Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2? Turns out he's white, that's why. There you go, Hackers. Hackers. Definitely Hackers. So there we go. The Colony would have been a good one for him as well. A great straight to DVD, because the lead actor I ain't seen in shit since. The Colony is a really good film. It's only available on Blu-ray in New Zealand, which I brought back. Right, see you in the outtakes. Here in the outtakes, for 2 minutes, I've moved slightly, because I can't see shit over there because the light's there. The outtake really should have been what I'm looking at. Hang on, jump up. I need a fucking wide angle lens. They're all double, triple deep. At work, everything's in alphabetical order. I'm going to go to work today and I'll be going, I should have been in that. I should have been in this, continued. And they're all Christian Slater films. I'm not going to do this. To be honest with you, now that we're in this, not a throwaway episode, just like a blowout episode, I think, the collecting, the Corey Haim stuff, because Corey Haim's passed, it's trying to get all his stuff. Like Christian Slater still keeps working, and he's just as good. If not, he is a better actor as well. But again, he's kind of it's the collection stuff. It's getting a hold of them. It's like grouping stuff together, like all Nicolas Cage's, for when Matt Connor will come around and be like, oh fucking hell, look at those Nicolas Cage's stuff, and then you've got Highlander and stuff grouped together, and behind us, it's kind of all the copies of The Thing, hence why The Thing was mentioned before. But yeah, it's just kind of woof. But yeah, I think I've, from what I could see, covered it, without digging everything out there and going, making proper reaching, going, should be in Baywatch, or he could have been in Broken Arrow. Christian Slater's good in Broken Arrow. It's not really a good shout of a room. Put him in Alien vs Predator, do you know what I mean? Somewhat obscure, but again, it's that whole thing of everyone knows who Corey Haim is if you're from the 80s. The newer generations lost it, and that's why it's fun to do this series, because all these films I've probably talked about throughout the series have completely just disappeared mainly. You know what I mean? People are rediscovering him in film because of iconic movies like Gremlins, The Goonies, and Lost Boys. But that's just in England. When you stuff if you talk about the other iconics of the 80s, stuff like Lucas and all that kinds of stuff, have just disappeared over here in time. Films like Cuffs. Cuffs is one of my favourite films. Just not available over here. Why? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, you can kind of I always said this, it'd be interesting to see where he would have gone, in what direction, because again, covering throughout this series, he's done a lot of great dramatic stuff. He's also made some absolutely fucking garbage. But I'm always going to have that nostalgia, always going to have pre-internet, watch the trailer. If you're a fan of an actor, it's kind of you can't tell someone why. It's there's that kid looks so cool, and you grow up and it's kind of the influences, or you follow an actress and because she's absolutely, and you just got a crush on it, but then you don't see past the where it could go. And then you take in the politics of Hollywood, and it's a dog eat dog world out there. It certainly is, and I think like again with like that kind of stuff as well, you can kind of see like being a child actor and getting there. So one of the greatest child actors to like have a longevity of a career is Kurt Russell. You know what I mean? Like some like people, you look at Flight of the Navigator, Joey Kramer. You know what I mean? Bless him. But again, it's like that. There's like, and then you got actors who like become famous later on, and it's just one of those things. But again, it's been really cool actually to do this, look around, and just what if, and then looking at people like, as I said, other actors I've mentioned who came along and took these roles in the competition, and then you've got to think about the state of mind of like you get to here, and you can't do anything. You try, and it's a slippery slope. It's a real slippery slope, and you want to have that comeback, just like Dickie Roberts is talking about in the movie, just like Corey Feldman's now singing about the comeback kid and all that kind of stuff. You've just got to keep on going, because like the way the world is now, I mean, if Haim was still alive now, look at how much he probably would have made a living off the Comic Cons. You know what I mean? Woody had been in Stranger Things, Woody had turned up in Netflix movies, and it's kind of like gone too soon kind of stuff. It's the same with River Phoenix. Do you know what I mean? But arguably we have Joaquin Phoenix, or Leaf, you know what I mean? Was able to carry that mantle, but you would still wonder now where River and Joaquin would have crossed and stuff like that. And it's like, what happens if Bill Paxton was still alive now? Would he return to the Alien franchise as a different kind of character? Speculate and wonder in alternative universes. Been watching way too much Stargate. Corey Haim could have been in Stargate Atlantis. You know what I mean? He could have took the lead role in Stargate Atlantis. We're going to leave that there. But yeah, we'll be back with a series. There's about 5 or 6 films left to do in this series, but I thought it'd be worth mentioning River's Edge and The Lost Boys 3, because I'm not going to get around to watching them. They're just there in the collection. I don't know what is next, actually. Decisions have got to be made. Bum, bum, bum. As if Cynthia Roofrock's just appeared on Straight to Video podcast. Unbelievable. Not as unbelievable to me as waffling on about what if Corey Haim was in this movie. I missed the announcement that Therapy's new album is coming out. Obviously a big fan of Therapy. And I missed the test press and signing, but I was able to get the signed double pack. Yeah. Look what Corey Haim's done.